Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 6, episode number 25. Andy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Well, it's May Day, May 1st,
Yes.
2025. It's episode 25, the Songs edition, where we do an album review. And this is always interesting. We always learn something new when we do these. And today's no different, right?
Yes.
So, there's lots of stories with this one. But let me bring up the album cover. We're going Rolling Stones early 70s today.
Okay.
Rolling Stones. So 1973, they did an album, Goat's Head Soup. That'll be the topic here for tonight. Let me get rid of the banner here.
There we go. There's
Goat's
Mick.
Head Soup, 11th studio album by the English rock band Rolling Stones, released August 1973. Goat's Head Soup achieved number 1 chart positions in the UK, US, and several other world markets. So, I mean, they did good. It was certified 3 times platinum. But this album is generally seen as the beginning of the band's decline after a string of critically acclaimed albums. So many call this the kind of the downward, the first of the end of the deal here.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end. 11. Any band that's got 11 studio albums out, they've kind of run their course. But these guys, it still goes 3 times platinum. So let's get into the notes here. I've got some things highlighted, and all I did was print off the Wikipedia page. We'll just go over some of the things here. Now, they recorded this, Andy, in Jamaica.
Yes, man.
Yes, man. So they were in Kingston, Jamaica. 1972, they relocated there. Jamaica, quote, Keith Richards said that, quote, Jamaica was one of the few places that would let us all in. By that time, about the only country I was allowed to exist in was Switzerland, which was, quote, damn boring for me, at least the first year, because I didn't like to ski. 9 countries kicked me out. Thank you very much. So it was a matter of how we're going to do it to keep these things together. So, you and I were young. I didn't know this, that they were getting kicked out of countries and whatnot individually or as a band. And so they had to go to Jamaica. There was not many places they all could get together to record. But here's what they did. I found this interesting. What they did, Rolling Stones Records president Marshall Chess said, what we did was we booked a studio for an entire month for 24 hours a day so that the band could keep the same setup, develop their own songs in freeform, blah, blah, blah. They didn't have to pack up and move out. They didn't rent it for a couple of days. It wasn't, 2 weeks. It was an entire month. And that's what they did. And they just got their groove on and they did what they had to do. So they're in Jamaica, right? They recorded it there. A lot of the influence of the island. They had Jamaicans involved, and some of the percussion players came in from places like Guyana. It was very interesting. I didn't know this stuff, this connection to Jamaica. So the album's title is Goat Head Soup. What that is a Jamaican dish. It's a dish called Manish water. It's a soup that includes goat's heads, goat's feet, and goat testicles.
Oh, okay.
So that's Goat's Head Soup. I'm sure at this time these guys, with the junior high humor, said, "Hey, let's name the album Goat's Head Soup because it's got testicles in the soup." That'd be really funny. And sure enough, I would agree. At that age, I probably would have done the same thing. It's a great name, but this soup in Jamaica is a delicacy. It's served at weddings. It's served at very important events. Is when they make this broth, this soup, and it's very, very good. So that's what I learned about this, and that's why they named it that. The album's lead single, Angie, was an unpopular choice as a lead single with Atlantic Records. And so the president, Marshall Chess, said, they wanted another Brown Sugar song. They didn't want a ballad as the lead single. And I agree with that, too. What are your thoughts there?
You make it with a ballad, like a lot of the hair bands in the 80s. A lot of the hair bands in the 80s, you make it with your ballads, but you're really a rock band. I think the Stones wanted to be that. They wanted to be a rock band. The ballads were where the money was at the time.
Okay. And Angie, very good song. I still like it. I'm not a big ballad guy, but
Yeah.
Angie's a great song. They just elected to make that as their lead single, and it worked. Atlantic did not like it though. They did not. They said, "Hey, let's release it," but later on, not the lead single. And
Yeah, because usually a lot of bands don't release the ballad first. So
yeah, so this was odd. The one thing I will note, you would like this. There's no cover songs on this album. Rolling Stones always threw in a cover song or two on each album, or a lot of those cover songs. None on this one. Very interesting. Mick Jagger said, "I feel really close to this album," and said, "quote I really put all I had into it." And some consider this kind of a throwaway or a dud of an album. They went down there. They were already successful with 10 albums. So, hey, let's go down there and spend a couple days and get something out, release it because we already know it's going to do well. But he said, no, we put a lot of time into this. And there's a lot of blues, a lot of bluesy stuff. And so anyway, he discredits that by saying, that this really meant a lot. This was a good album. Now, the album cover, let's get to this.
Yes, that's what I'm interested in.
You're interested in the album cover. So that's Mick Jagger there in the chiffon. It's a portrait of Jagger in pink chiffon veil, which was made to look like Katharine Hepburn in the movie The African Queen. So I can kind of get that. I don't think I've ever seen the African Queen movie. Very, very popular movie. After looking that up, I'm surprised I have never seen it. I actually kind of want to see that now. It was a huge movie back in the day, but they did this to look like her. And I guess I can see it. He was reluctant to do it, though. I'm sure Mick was like, I'm not going to go in this pink chiffon veil for this photograph. But it's interesting. It's one of those, I'm an album cover guy. I think you are too.
Yep.
It's interesting. Not the best I've seen, not the worst, but I got a thing for album covers, and I think this is good. Now, the original 12-inch LP format, when you bought this at the record store and brought it home, it was basically a life-size image of his head. This was basically life-size.
Yeah.
So anyway, interesting stuff. So that's where that came from. Katharine Hepburn.
And a lot of bands after that started doing that with the face on the album cover type thing. So.
Well, you know what it made me think of, Andy? You might even know this. It's the Godsmack album cover.
Well, that or just with the face out, Phil Collins made a whole career of that in the 80s. This big bump face right in the middle of the album.
Very interesting. I was going through my collection on my MP3 library, and I saw the Godsmack album. I'm not even sure what it was called, but it's Sulla Ernie on the front with his head through like a plastic thing like this. Not a veil, but it's exactly the same. And I'm guessing a lot of these guys copy and take ideas from things. That's probably where he got it from. Now, on September 2020, and so they released this album, and maybe a good time to do it, maybe not. The world was in COVID protocol, and nothing was going on. Everyone was at home, and maybe it was a good time to release this album. So they redid it with a new mix in a deluxe edition. But what I did not know is they released outtakes that were recorded in Jamaica at the studio, but never released. They released, this is 47 years later, they released the song Crisscross, Scarlet, and All the Rage in 2020. They released them. Now, I listened to these songs today. They sound fresh. They sound like regular Rolling Stone songs, but they were done in 1973. They've never seen the light of day until 4 or 5 years ago. So those came out. The interesting thing with those I wanted to mention is that they did music videos for each. And so I'm going to put a link in the description. So these are 2020 production value music videos done to a song that was not ever released, but created and recorded in 1973 by this world famous band. So anyway, interesting stuff. Here's the track listing. Dancing with Mr. D. I like that.
Yep.
100 Years Ago, good song. Coming Down Again, song 3. That's Keith Richards on vocals. The only song that he sings here without Mr. Mick. And then Do 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 Heartbreaker. Very good song. I've always liked that. I don't think I ever really knew, I guess, what the title was. Very good lyrics to that. And then Angie, released as a single. Next side is Silver Train. That's a real bluesy song.
Yes.
Hide Your Love, Winter, real bluesy. Can You Hear the Music? And Star, Star. 3 of those last 4 songs are, I would call them very bluesy. If, you're that type of a guy. Did you get that when you picked that up from some of these? This is 1973, but these guys,
album,
I thought it was very well done. Never really got the credit. Final song is Star, Star. That's a good upbeat, up-tempo song. I don't think they released that. That's a different title than originally planned. They had to redo that. The Personnel. Now, here's some things I didn't know. Maybe you did. I'm not sure.
I'm going to stop you and back up here.
Yes.
This would be the perfect time. That song, Star, Star.
Yes.
This would be the perfect time if we had like a Patreon paid channel. We can go on and really explain that song.
Yes.
Like
a subscription only.
That's your homework assignment. Research Star, Star, what it really means. There's your homework assignment.
And the original title, Atlantic, certainly was not down with the title that they wanted to go with there. But interesting song, good lyrics. It's actually a good song, but they did have to rename it. Rolling Stones Personnel. So 1973, this is Mick Jagger, vocals. Keith Richards, electric guitar. Keith Richards plays bass on 4 tracks. New for me. Did not know that. Mick Taylor, electric guitar, plays bass on 3 tracks. Bill Wyman, bass, but only on 3 tracks on the entire album. Bill Wyman plays 3 tracks on bass. So by the time you get the 3 there, the 4, the 3, the 7, 8, 9, 10 songs, those 3 do it all. Bill is kind of left out there. And then Charlie Watts, of course, on the drums. Andy, what's your take on this album? Did you have it? Did you have it growing up? Did you listen to it?
No, I didn't have it. Brother didn't have it, but I had heard the songs just because, in the 80s, you had KQ, so they played a lot of the Stones, and you just heard them all.
They were a lot of Stone songs, yes.
And that's me with the Stones. I don't think I've ever owned a Stones album in my life, but they're kind of like Aerosmith to me. Yeah. I know those songs. I appreciate them. If you played me a song, I couldn't tell you what album it was off of, what year it came out. Not a clue. I like the songs. I appreciate them. I'm not the big fan where I go, oh, that song, that was off this album in that year and blah, 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 blah. I just enjoy the song. I
am not well-versed like that either. But when I seem to put on Stones stuff on doing these reviews and whatnot, I always, never fails, seem to think, why don't I listen to these guys more often or put them on in the background on driving? And I never, ever think of putting in a Stones when I've got so many other things top of memory that I want to put in. But this is good, mellow, good songs. The Mick Taylor and Keith Richards on the guitar, on the slide guitar, I think it's good. So they had the album before this was Exile on Main Street, and the album after this is It's Only Rock and Roll. And so here's the singles they released was Angie. The backside of that, the flip side B was Silver Train. And I think they thought that was going to do maybe well. It didn't really. And then Heartbreaker was their second song released. And in the back of that is Dancing with Dr. D. So great release there with those 2. But I like probably 4 songs on this album that I really like. The rest are good. They're bluesy, relaxing music. But this was 1973. So Jamaica, the album is 47 minutes long, 10 songs. It's not bad.
Yep. Of course, it was late in my 1973. Like I said before, I was a little busy, mastering the potty training thing, eating with a fork. I was a little more.
Oh, yes, the basics, life's basic things.
Stones weren't really high on my list at that time, but I came to them later in life.
Goat's Head Soup. So get the recipe, maybe for the wife, maybe Mother's Day is coming up.
That's right.
A good way to impress the ladies. Goat's Head Soup. We'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah. And don't forget to do your homework on what Star Star is all about. Don't write us afterwards about it. Just do your homework.
And I'll put a link also to those 3 later songs they released that were part of the sessions that were left on the editing room floor. But very good, fresh songs from 1973 that you probably never heard of. And their videos are out there on YouTube, by the way. Have a good week, everyone.
Don't forget to check out part 2 on Spotify. It comes out tomorrow afternoon. Special happy birthday edition to a favorite singer of mine.
I like it. Have a good week.